Alright, Goblin Zombies Game 1, we are going first up against Synchrons, and because it's Game 1, you know exactly what it is. It is a showcase of what the deck does. Our hand's pretty solid. We can just normal summon a Goblin Zombie to extend if we get interrupted at any point, but they don't really have anything, it seems like. So we just go through the normal one-card combo, and this is gonna take a while, so, strap in. I don't know. How was lunch? How you guys doing today? But yeah, basic one card combo, Lancer, basically, if you didn't watch the actual deck guide, the whole point is that because we're going to end with 3 Call of the Haunteds on board, we're just setting up our graveyard full of a bunch of options and like powerful disruptions to bring back on the opponent's turn. So at this point, like, we've got a Bawaku set up, so that'll come back. That's going to be an end board piece regardless. That's just another way to bring something back on the opponent's turn to disrupt. But we also have Felgrand, which is a banish on summon, then a negate when something else gets summoned. Dark Knight Lancer, because we have Full Armored Xyz already active, so we can use that with 6s that we bring back on the opponent's turn, and then banish it to equip to a Lancer that we've brought back. SP's here too, just the whole gang. Gabanga, in theory, we can bring him back. Is 12 disruption and board off one card? It's pretty good. And Synchrons has gotten, this is with their new support that is thus far unreleased in the TCG, so they've got some plays and good extension and whatnot. I assume they're playing like 40 cards, no non-engine, because this deck has a lot of like individual pieces. This is one I'd probably build at 60 if I was going to do it myself. But they can't like get anything going just because we've got so much disruption. And we've used, what, half of it at this point. We've still got plenty more to go. So let's go see a slightly better game. Alright, for game 2, we are going second up against Synchron again, and this is a deck that also makes a long combo, scary end board, and we don't play hand traps. Our non-engine consists of 9 copies of MST, more or less, which we do open 1, which is cool. But otherwise, we're just relying on the fact that our engines force out interaction and hope that we have enough extension to play through whatever the opponent has. And in this game, on this hand, we kind of do. This is like a cracked-ass hand. So, you know, maybe we can get there through whatever shenaniganry they manage to put up, which it appears to be 3 negates, 3 back row that are unknown. So going to our turn, we actually rip Pumpkin, which is great. We go to MST a card, they just use it to get a Stardust Dragon on board, and then we start throwing out our least important starters. So we go Terror Top, they negate and destroy that. We normal summon Gabanga, they negate that. We do the Pumpkin thing, they negate that. Okay, well that's annoying, but we can go into Eldum, search Swen, and if they had, at the moment where we searched Swen, if they had negated that, we would have lost on the spot. But because they let us get Swen, then we go into Nightmare Unicorn. They were trying to hold on to Quasar to protect them from some last big haymaker. And, like, we weren't going to do that, but we go into Unicorn to go spin it. And that forces out the negate, which lets us go into Swen, which puts 2/3s on board, which gets us full combo. Not like full combo at this point. We've used a lot of resources already, but full enough. So we Mizuki, bring back Goblin Zombie, link off into Yukiona. Now we can start negating and zeroing out their monsters. We're doing okay. We special summon out the Unizombie courtesy of the Volcarion, which lets us make our Felgrand, and then we can search off the Goblin Zombie Stare of the Snakehair to get our Field Spell, and this is about all we've got, but we can clear their board more or less. Activate Field Spell, 2 calls, we've got Full Armored Xyz, and that's pretty solid here. But they have whatever Scrap Iron Sacred Statue is, which apparently just, like, summons back a card. That's kind of annoying. I summon back Snakehair. I don't want to use it right here, but instead I use it to trigger Yukiona, who can negate the Synchro Dragon, and I go as Chainlink 2, Felgrand's Negate effect, which protects the Yukiona, the more important effect, from Synchro Dragon. They still use the Synchro Dragon, get rid of Felgrand, that's okay, we can just bring him back at will anyways for the banish. And they've got follow-up, but we use our second negate on the Stardust. They bring back Synchro Dragon again. Its effect is useless here, but they're trying to get access to a 12 as soon as possible. We grab Pumpkin, and then that's going to trigger Call of the Forgotten to send something to grave. This is my major mistake. I forget that the Stare of the Snakehair can only target something in attack position for some reason. So I send off the Synchro, then I summon Snakehair because I was going to negate something, or make something unable to be used as material, probably the Stardust Synchron. But I can't do that with Stare of the Snakehair here, so they just have another way to bring their guy back. And I don't know that that mistake really matters in the end here, because they just had even more extension. I'm not sure why we couldn't use Full Armored XZs. It wouldn't have mattered even if we could. I don't know, I couldn't use it for some reason. But they still get there anyways on turn 3, just because they set up, smartly, they set up like multiple Garden Rose Maidens to keep bringing stuff back. Just like a neat amount of follow-up coming out of this deck. But hopefully this game does showcase the fact that we could and did break a very scary board and set up a few disruptions. They just like had enough follow-up to keep going through it. Game 3, we're going second into Enneacraft. Enneacraft is fun. It's a fun deck. It plays weird, a lot of people don't know what it does, but it's not like that crazy. You're using flip monsters as traps, almost, and then trying to burn the opponent out with the field spell. Most people, that's the only thing most people seem to know about Enneacraft, is stop the field spell and you win, and that doesn't even work. That just prolongs the game, but they can keep going. What really stops Enneacraft is destroying their, or not destroying their monsters, but like extending like crazy, I guess, because they don't have that many disruptions. And thankfully, we do that. So we MST the Karma Cannon. I actually called to myself, I was like, that's probably a Karma Cannon. That's got to go immediately. And I was right. They still managed to book our first summon, but we've got gas for days in the tank here, so we don't really care. Go into Gabonga, search Merciless, we can summon out Douglas and go get Grand Entrance. The reason I do that line is because now we can special summon the Merciless, who can special summon the Goblin Zombie instead of just getting Goblin Zombie, and that gets us an extra body, which, playing into an established board, an extra body is always important. And then at this point, like, sure, we got a guy booked, and we got ashed, but that just, like, doesn't stop us, so we're gonna make full board and then OTK here, which is pretty cool. Oh, right, yeah, they surrendered, but we would have made full board and OTK'd on this. Like I've said a couple of times, the deck plays pretty well into established boards as long as you don't get a bricked-ass hand. Next up, we're going first into Blue Eyes, and this is not just a showcase. They actually have hand traps for once. I don't know why when I play on Omega no one has hand traps. I can't complain about that because I'm, you know, the 60-card combo player, so I don't play hand traps a lot of the time. But it makes for a lot better videos if I can show you that the opponent actually has disruption somewhere along the way, which they use a Dominus Spark here to take out our Armored Fortress, which is just like an auxiliary, not that important thing, but I guess they saw an ignition effect and were like, yeah, if we can use we can stop this, they don't get that advantage, and it's a one-of, so they can't get it back, woohoo. But that is basically meaningless in the grand scheme of things. We also, was this the game? No, this was a really good start on us. But yeah, so like, we get an MST as part of our end board for free. I don't think we're going to actually have space to set it. This deck sets a lot of back row. You get 3 Call of the Haunted. Most games you're going to get Vortex of Time, and most games you're going to get the Armored XZs. And then a lot of times you can also just have an MST, so you kind of have to pick and choose, and the called buys are definitely the most important ones. Well, I don't know. Vortex of Time's really good. Called by and Vortex are most important. So normally you're picking between MST and the Armored XZs, but this is our pretty standard end board. We just don't have Armored XZs. We have an MST instead. Okay, well, they start with a Kaiba Man. That's fine. They have Drill Beam. That's a nuisance, but we Vortex that, which banishes all of their cards, and I figured that was the end of the game. They can keep going. They go forever here. I try to banish the Blue Eyes, forgetting that True Light makes it untargetable. It's weird because it's specifically Blue Eyes White Dragon himself that's untargetable. So instead we just MST it, and they managed to keep going a little bit, but at this point it's just showing how much disruption we have. I think we used maybe half of it there, if anything, and they had a pretty solid hand. They extended and extended, and they disrupted us as part of their combo because they had Drill Beam, but we have too much. We simply have too much. And then last up, we are going first into Sky Strikers, so they've got us right where they want us, right? You know, because they're a board-breaking deck. They want to go second and stop us, so we'll see how this goes. We have a pretty crappy start outside of the fact that we opened the Ectoplasmic Fortification, so we can open Pumpkin, so in case we get disrupted on a relatively crappy starter, we had to start with our Goblin normal summon, which isn't great. If that gets interrupted, we can still at least do the Pumpkin thing. They are Sky Strikers, obviously I didn't know that at the time, so they weren't going to interrupt us in any way, and so we still managed to get to full end board, just in like a weird roundabout way, with a little bit of insurance. You can see here, Call of the Haunted doing its best to brick up our hand, as it likes to do. That's kind of one of the big problems with the Pumpkin deck in general, and I think it's less of a problem in this deck because it is a 60 card pile. We don't, like, that makes the Call of the Haunteds less likely to be seen, but in 40 card Pumpkin, it's like a big problem, man. The fact that your field spell, you want to play 2 of it, but it doesn't do anything, and you need to play 3 cards, but they don't do anything, kind of gross. So here, they start with a Fallen and the Virtuous. Okay, I'll just go full Armored Exes to rank up our Pumpkin. That gets rid of our targeting protection, but it puts the full Armored in Grave, and it gets us Legion. But they have the Widow Anchor, which they use on Legion. Okay, we'll just use it now to suck up, what was it? Luke Belly, or Albion. So we suck up their Albion so they don't get the search on end phase. If it makes it that far, they respond with Droplet, so we can't use Vortex of Time because they pitch another spell. And we just let them turn everything off. Who cares? All of the rest of our interrupts are coming out of the grave anyway, so why do we need these guys on board? Here, they use Vision to go search an MST, and I respond with Call of the Haunted to summon out Gabonga in the hopes that they MST the known Call of the Haunted, because I would like to save the Vortex of Time and don't want it accidentally getting hit. That's exactly what they do. They're like, aha, if you did that, that must be important. I'm gonna pop it. Then they normal summon Ray, and then they time out. But yeah, how this is gonna play out is I go Call of the Haunted to summon back Snakehair. They will, hopefully, if they're playing correctly, respond to the Snakehair's effect, tributing Ray to summon out like Kagari or whatever. That prevents us from using the Snakehair. We lose that disruption. Then they can use Ray to try and get something back, like probably an engage. That's okay. We can go Yukiona, bring back the Felgrand to banish the Kagari, or conversely, we could banish the Ray from Graveyard and then go Call of the Haunted, bring back Little Knight to take care of the Kagari, and then we still have Vortex of Time for the engage itself. So, like, they're probably screwed here because we can permanently remove the Ray from the equation, but they did just time out anyways, so whatever. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.